Think for a minute, meditate. Imagine you log into your account and it says $1.2 million in there. How to turn $100 into $1 million. That is what we are discussing here today. I'm going to give you the step-by-step blueprint on how you go from $100 to $1 million. Now, it seems like such a far way away, right? When you're a 3-figure person and you're trying to be a 7-figure person, there's a huge difference in there. There's a lot of stuff that needs to happen. A lot of success needs to happen for you to get to that level. So I'm going to kind of put you in the right mindset on where you need to be as far as where your focus should be as far as getting up to each new step. And there's 3 kind of ways I think about it, okay? So you can get to another step by income, going up. You can get there by investing and making your money into money, or you can get there by saving more money, spending less basically, okay? And we're gonna talk about this. Now, when I think about anytime you wanna jump steps, right? You wanna go from $100, you got a $100 net worth or a very low net worth to $1 million, I think you've gotta have levels to it, right? So the way I like to think about it, okay, you've got $100, how do we get to $1,000 net worth? That's where we need to think about. Like if you got $100, we need to think about how do you get to 1,000, and then how do you go from 1,000 to $10,000? Okay, and then how do we go from 10,000 to $100,000? Each of these is 10x. Each of them, is 10 times. And then how do you get from $100,000 to $1 million net worth? Okay, how do you go from there to there, and hopefully as quick a time as possible, while at the same time not taking insane risks and things like that. So the first one, $100 to get from $100 net worth to $1,000 net worth. This is like so easy. It's insanely easy, right? If you think about it from this perspective, all you need to do, if you work 40 hours a week, right? You work 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year, all you need to make is an extra 50 cents an hour. That's like nothing, guys. An extra 50 cents an hour. That's all you need to do is make an extra 50 cents an hour and you will get there. Never mind all the other ways you get there. This is the easiest one by far. You make an extra 50 cents an hour, you work 40 hours a week, times 52 weeks a year. In a year's time, you'll go from $100 to $1,000 net worth, as long as you didn't spend all that extra money. As long as you saved it, put it away. Never mind if you invested that money and that money made you a little bit of money. You got a 10% return on that money, 20%. Then you're talking you'll be well over $1,000 net worth, during the course of that year. But literally, if you make 50 cents extra an hour, that could just be a simple raise at your job. A lot of times when people get, raises, even if you're in kind of like the lower worker ranks, a lot of times you'll get, a 50-cent raise, 75 cents, sometimes even $1 raise. I know a lot of companies have done raises this year. Some of them much bigger than 50 cents an hour, obviously with the tax cuts and things like that. Minimum wage across the country, a lot of them have gone up, over $1, never mind just 50 cents. That's all you need to do is make an extra 50 cents an hour, work 40 hours a week, and you're gonna have it. It's so simple, right? Okay, so great. Now you get to $1,000 net worth. That's cool. By the way, I always say to people, you should always celebrate it when you reach a new milestone. So when you go to 3 figures, you should take those who are close to you out to eat or do something like that. You might not be able to afford much at those ranks, but do something like that. Same thing when you reach 4 figures, take everybody out. The closest friends and family, go out. And, it's experience because you hit a new number. You don't even have to tell them what happened. Just on the inside, man, I just reached a new number. When you hit 5 figures, go out. When you hit 6 figures, go out, and each one you can do it a little more grand and a little more fancier of a place and things like that. And when you hit 7 figures, do it, guys. It's phenomenal. It's a great feeling. Okay, gives you kind of like a little reward type experience. So now $1,000 to $10,000. What's the best way to go about this? You could save your way there. In my opinion, usually when you're in these lower ranks, you're probably not spending a lot of money still at these particular ranks. So I don't think saving is going to help you much. You could invest. Yeah, you could invest, but to turn 1,000 into 10,000, you need to get 1,000% return, guys. You need to get 1,000% return. That's going to be tough to do. That's not a very easy thing. That could take a long time to get 1,000% return, right? So I don't think that's your best bet. So still at these levels, the best route for you is to get your income up, okay? So here I like to think, well, you need a lot more than a 50-cent raise, okay? So maybe it won't happen at your workplace. Maybe you can get a better job that pays you several dollars more, because that's really what you're going to need to be making more. You're going to need to be making, let's see, if that brought in an extra 1,000 You're going to basically going to be needing to make somewhere around an extra $5 an hour, okay? Most jobs, especially if you're working like lower ranks, it's hard to get a $5 an hour raise, okay? So that's probably not going to happen. So I like to say kind of like start a little side hustle. Doesn't have to be a full-time thing. Something you're doing on the side that you're spending 10 hours or 20 hours a week doing, okay? This can be very beneficial. Something like, I don't know, being a publisher of books. So something like writing your own book, something you know about, or maybe you enjoy writing, or something fiction, nonfiction, whatever your kind of thing is, that is definitely a way you can bring in income. You can write them, put them on Amazon, okay, and basically you're published. It's literally that simple. I self-published a book. It was not complicated at all. You can even have Amazon actually do paperbacks for you as well, and you can get sales off those. The big thing I would say about books is make sure you get reviews, okay? So make sure you're enticing people to leave reviews. Do a little free promo at first and entice people to write reviews. Make sure you kind of bring it up toward the beginning of the book and the end of the book, so then people kind of reminded, oh, I need to leave a review for this book, and some of them actually will go on Amazon. Reviews are so huge on Amazon. I think about my book, like I don't even shout my book out anymore. I don't show it anything. Like I haven't done that for a long time. If you follow my channel, you know the only thing I kind of give promo to is my stock market membership group and my couple stock market courses. That's really all I talk about. My book, I never show it anymore. I never advertise that, and that still does around $400 in sales a month. Think about that. That's, you know, nearly $5,000 a year in sales, and I don't give it any promo time. I don't even have it linked in the description or anything like that anymore, right? And I still get those type of sales numbers. You don't necessarily need to get that. I'm just saying that's a way you can go. You can go YouTube route. You can, you know, produce videos and things like that. You can go affiliate links, which is basically you create affiliate links. You can get in a program like Amazon Affiliates. It's not like some, you know, special place where, you know, only special people get accepted. No, it's basically you get Amazon affiliate links, and as long as you have followers or ways you can get these links out where people actually click on them and are interested in clicking on them, you get paid for that. Basically anything they buy off Amazon within a 24-hour, or is it 24? I think it might be 48 hours. You actually make a commission on that, guys. You make a commission. Usually whatever they buy, you get between a 6 and 10% commission. So think about if they buy, you know, $100 worth of stuff, you're going to get probably 6 to 10 bucks of commission sales just off of that. And a lot of different websites have them. It's not just Amazon. I think Amazon's probably the best and easiest because almost everybody uses Amazon, but that's a little way of making money, guys, right? There's so many little things here and there you can do that you can make money on the side, these little side hustle things. And a lot of times people they kind of get in the thought process of, well, I don't do that. I'm not a book. I've never written a book. Neither did I write a book, and I did, and it went bestseller. Like you don't have to, and you don't have to go bestseller either. I'm just saying, like, so what? Like you never done something before? Neither did we. We didn't walk at one time, right? We didn't talk at one time. We didn't know how to ride a bike at one time. Like big deal. You haven't done something, okay? You can still go out and do it, guys. Like it's just a little side hustle. A little side hustle, in my opinion, is the best way to go from $1,000 to $10,000. There's also drop shipping. I have a drop shipping for beginners video on this channel. There's so many different ways, guys, that you can do a little side hustle so you spend 10 to 20 hours a week on, and it can help you get from that $1,000 to $10,000 level. And like I said, if you're trying to do it through the job ranks, that's going to be hard, guys. You're going to need to get a really big wage or a much, much better job, which is not always the easiest thing in my opinion. I think it's actually a lot easier to do something on the side, little side hustle thing to kind of get your money up, okay? So you reach 5 figures, you get to a $10,000 net worth. That is phenomenal. Now we need to go from 10,000 to 100,000, okay? So for this one of the ways I like to think about it is I like to think this one, saving some more money can actually help you, okay? So I think the S is big in this one. The reason being is sometimes when you kind of, you know, get above like 5 figures, you start adding some expenses to your lifestyle that kind of don't make sense or kind of like are like things you don't really need just because you feel like you're getting up to a certain kind of level now. Oh, I'm worth 5 figures. Now I'm starting to become something. I can start buying all these things and adding up all these expenses. That's not always the best thing, guys, especially if those things are not things that help you make more money, okay? There's certain things that if you're spending money on, like if you're spending money on books or educational products and things like that, like that are hopefully going to help you make more money, that's one thing. That's fine because that's hopefully things that are going to help you make more money. But if you're spending on Netflix or you know, video games or all these things that are literally taking money from you, those are liabilities, guys, because they're taking your time away from where it needs to be, and they're preventing you from, becoming at a much better place, right? And you're spending money on all that. So those are the type of expenses I'm talking about. Sometimes just eating lifestyle stuff you're doing that you're just spending a lot more money. So if you focus a little bit more on saving some more money, I think that's a really beneficial thing, okay? I think at this level, investing starts to become much more important now at this level. Now, obviously, you're not going to get from 10,000 to 100,000 just strictly off investing, unless you once again get 1,000% return. That is really hard to do unless you do it over a very long amount of time, right? To get 1,000% return is pretty unrealistic, especially if it's in a 1 year span. Like, that's not going to happen, right? So investing is definitely going to help. It's not going to get you all the way there, but the combo between saving, investing, and then the last one is kind of getting that income up a little bit more, okay? Getting that income up a little bit more will help. Now, this one, you're going to have to either get a much better job. Obviously, you have to get a much better job if you want to, get there in a shorter amount of time. Or you're going to have to take one of those side projects and take it much more serious, okay? You have to take it much more serious and take it to the next level. So what I like to say is sometimes you're going to have a side project, and maybe you're spending like 10 hours a week on this little side project over here, okay? And you're starting to see some results from it. Maybe you tried a few things, or maybe you just tried one thing and you're starting to see some results. Sometimes those results aren't like, gangbusters, like, oh my gosh, you're knocking it out of the park. Sometimes you just kind of have a little results, like things are getting a little bit better over there, a little bit better. And that's when you have to really start focusing and say, maybe I'm spending 10, 15 hours a week over here. Maybe I need to start spending 30 hours a week over here, 35, 40 hours a week. And that is scary at first because that's a lot of time. That's a lot of time to be putting into something, obviously, right? But sometimes that is what's necessary to take that little pet project that's maybe bringing you in some income, but it's not bringing you a lot, to take it up to a level where it's bringing you in a massive amount of money, right? When I started YouTube, when I started my YouTube channel, the financial education channel, it started as kind of like a little pet project that I spent maybe 10 hours a week, maybe even less than 10 hours a week, right? And I did that for like the first 3-4 months. And I was starting to see like there's something there. Like we're getting a few more subscribers in, and the views are going up a little bit, and there's something there. There was still nothing monetarily there at those times, right? Hopefully you're going to have something where you're actually making some money off it. At those times, I wasn't making any money off YouTube 3-4 months in. And I was kind of like, you know what? I think I'm going to spend more time in this. So I started putting 20 hours a week, 30 hours a week, 35 hours a week into this, 40 hours a week. And the more time I put in, the more I ended up getting out of it, okay? And it ended up blossoming into this thing that's way bigger than I ever expected, where I ended up dropping my entire real estate marketing company because it was just kind of like, oh, that's little money now. We got this thing over here that's way bigger. That's kind of the type of decision you kind of have to make, where you're not throwing away your job that you're working. You're not throwing away your business that you might be doing, right? I didn't throw away my real estate marketing company until, the money coming in from YouTube and YouTube related products and, courses and things like that, like we're at such a much higher level than my real estate company that I was like, okay, now we throw it away. But you don't do that initially, right? You want to kind of be spending your time over here, spending 30 hours a week, and maybe you're working another 30, 40 hours a week, at your work job. I know that, it's not ideal for everybody to work 60, 70 hours a week. But if you want to get to these levels, you're going to have to make sacrifice. If you're okay being at $10,000, net worth, then be at $10,000 net worth. You shut the video off now. Like, there's no reason to even be watching this anymore at this point. If that's all you want to become, then that's all you want to become, right? But if you're trying to get to the big numbers, you got to sacrifice, man. You got to put in that time. You got to put in that work ethic, okay? You got to be willing to, to put in 30 hours a week plus on that side little hustle over there. And, doing your full-time thing that's actually bringing in, the money at the time. My real estate marketing company, that's what put food on the table. That's what paid all the bills and whatnot. The real estate marketing company did that. While I had this little pet project of YouTube for a year and a half. It took a year before I started making any money really at all. And any real money, it took about a year and a half. I had this little pet project for a year and a half before it started bringing in real money, where it was like equivalent to what the real estate company was bringing in. And then it went up to a much higher level. And I was like, okay, the real estate thing's a little pet project that I don't need anymore. That's what I'm talking about, guys. And it takes sacrifice. It takes sacrifice. Yeah, it's, not everybody wants to work 60, 70 hours a week. But I'm going to tell you guys, you want to get up the levels, sometimes you got to put in the dedication, or you just have to be willing to wait much longer, right? If you got all, if you were going to wait 20 years to go from 10,000 to 100,000, you had that choice. I'm just telling you, like, that's a long time to wait, right? That's a long, long time to wait. Or, like I said, you can get a much better job. If you have that ability where you can go from a job that maybe you were making 30K a year to all of a sudden you're at a job where you're making 60K or 70K, like, if you can do that, that's fine as well, right? Because you're going to be able to climb those numbers much quicker. Maybe you can start putting 20,000 a year, 30,000 a year away toward, stocks and investing and whatnot. And as long as you're getting returns, you might be able to go from 10,000 to 100,000 in a 3 or 4 year span. That's not bad. That's nothing to complain about there. So that option's also out there. But like I said, the pet project one, as long as you're starting to see some results over there, sometimes it's like, okay, I'm seeing some results and I'm only putting in 5-10 hours a week. Let me start funneling some more time over here, and then you start getting better at it, and those gains start going up and up. Now, from 100,000 to a million. 100,000 to a million. So this one, the first thing you got to really focus on is investing, okay? Investing, in my opinion, is the biggest thing that's going to help you go from 100,000 to a million. You really want to be, putting in, I would say, at least 30 hours a week toward looking into investments, okay? Because you've got an account now that's a 6-figure account, okay? This is nothing to play with anymore at this point in time. You got a 6-figure account? We're talking now. Now we're talking some money. Now you got to really double down on the amount of time you're spending as far as looking into investments and investment opportunities. You need to be spending, like I said, at least 30 hours a week looking into investments, trying to find your money in the best place to make more money, right? Because you want to get that 100,000 to 200,000 as fast as possible with taking as much, as the least amount of risk as possible. You want to get there, you've got to really be funneling a lot of time, because think about it from this perspective. Maybe if you spend just an extra, let's say you're spending 20 hours a week looking into stocks, right? You're spending 20 hours a week looking into stocks right now, right? And that's enough time for you to maybe look fully into 4 or 5 stocks a week, right? What if I told you, if you just spent 25 hours and you did 5 or 6 stocks a week, that 6 stock right there was the one that was going to quadruple up your money in a 2-year span? Would you spend that extra 5 hours a week doing so? I would say it's probably worth it, guys. It's probably worth it to funnel in as much time as possible to looking into investments, because you got an account that's big now. You got an account that's big. You're working with some real money at this point in time, right? You really need to be funneling as much time into looking into investments as possible when the numbers start getting really big. And then your other big place your focus should be is on income also. Income is another big one, guys. Income should also be a big focus of yours. But I know this one's a little bit harder at this point in time, right? Because we're talking about really big numbers, right? Think about it from the perspective of, if you double up your money and you had 100,000, you double up your money, it's up to 200,000, right? But if you got a job that maybe you're making 50,000 a year at, and you get a job which is really hard to do, go from a $50,000 job to a $100,000 job, you still only gain 50,000 there, and then taxes still got to be taken out of that and everything, and that's really hard. I really understand. Like, in the workforce, to go from a job that pays 50,000 a year to go to get a job that pays 100,000, that's not the easiest thing to do, right? It's not like, oh, let me go get an extra 50 cents an hour just working at some other company. That's easy. Making an extra 50,000, going from 50,000 to 100,000, it's much more difficult, guys. But sometimes you can find little segments of the workforce that are making way more than other segments, okay? So for instance, right now, solar panels, like solar panel salesmen, I know a lot of them that are making $150,000 to $200,000 a year, and they have no college education or anything. They're just salesmen out here in Nevada and some other states in California and whatnot, making $150,000, $200,000 selling solar panels, guys. Selling solar panels that people put on their roof and whatnot. There's a lot of money in that segment right now. 2009 to 2013, when the economy was weak, right, and a lot of people couldn't find good jobs, guess where there were a massive amount of 6-figure jobs? Out in North Dakota and South Dakota, in the oil fields, guys, out in the Dakotas, out in North Dakota. You could get a job almost anywhere, as long as you were, mentally capable to do it, physically capable to do it, and you would show up on time. There were guys getting $100,000+ jobs all over the place because there was so much demand for workers at that time out in North Dakota. People were like, I can't find a job anywhere. I'm like, Go out to North Dakota right now. I know the weather sucks and there's nothing to do, but man, you're gonna probably make a 6-figure job, if not more than that, out there working in the oil fields or doing something in relation to those. There's trucking companies, all types of businesses that were just sprouting up because that was a boom at that time, the fracking industry, and oil prices were going up and up, and the oil services companies, they didn't care how much they paid. You can find these little segments sometimes that can take you from maybe you're making you're at a $40,000, $50,000 job a year, where all of a sudden you're making $100,000, $200,000 a year, and that makes it much easier to go from $100,000 to $1 million. Then think about it from the perspective of you got a really good paying job and you're funneling in 30 hours plus a week toward the investments, and you're putting your money in the best stocks possible. Now we're really talking, guys. Now we're really talking. And that's when you can reach this level of $1 million+ and you can get to a place where you got 7 figures invested in a brokerage account. 7 figures of liquid money that's just in stocks that you could sell off at any time if you wanted to, or anything like that. That's what we're talking about, guys. $1 million in a brokerage account. Think about that. Imagine $1 million in your brokerage account for the 2 people that are watching this video and have more than $1 million. Don't imagine that. But for everybody else that doesn't have $1 million in your brokerage account, just think for a minute, meditate. Imagine you log into your account and it says $1.2 million in there. It's a beautiful thing, guys. So that's what we're talking about, guys. Going from $100 to $1 million. It's absolutely possible. It's going to take some time. In my opinion, you can do this if you're really focused. You can do this in probably about a 10-year span if you're really focused. If you're extremely talented, you might be able to do it in 5 years or something like that. That's a little unrealistic in my opinion, but if you're really focused, you can go from $100 to $1 million in your account in about a 10-year span, as long as you're focused, guys, as long as you're focused. And that's a big thing. Like a lot of people, they just don't focus. They're not focused around saving more money. They're not focused around building up their incomes. They don't believe they can build up their incomes. They're not focused around investing more money and things like that. You got to be focused, guys. The focus has got to be there, and you've got to really want it. You got to really want it. You can't just be like, oh, it would be nice to have $1 million. Yeah, no kidding. Who wouldn't say that, right? It'd be nice to have $1 billion, $1 million, $100 million. Okay, but do you really want that? Do you really want to put in the work ethic it takes to get there? Do you really want to put in the sacrifice it takes to get there? That's the big question. But you can absolutely do it, guys. It's not like, it's some special privileged people that can only reach $1 million. Absolutely not. Do you want to reach $1 billion? We're talking about a different subject there. You want to reach $1 billion? Okay, now you need to be special. You want to reach $1 million? You don't need to be special. You don't need to be highly educated. You need to have some education and some things that will make you money, like stocks and business building and things like that, and passive income. Yeah, you need that type of education, but you don't need to have a master's degree and blah, 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 or things like that, guys. So anyways, I hope you really enjoyed this today. Let me know if you got a lot of value out of this. I hope you guys really did. And let me know, if you think you can make it to that number, $1 million in your stock market account. Not just $1 million net worth. Let's talk about $1 million just in stock market, just in stocks alone, $1 million. Let's talk about that. Can you get there? How long do you think it's going to take you to get there? I would love to hear from you guys as always in that comment section. Thank you for watching and have a great day.